Hello and welcome to News Live here on Viewer Television. My name is Phillips Levin. First, let's look at the headlines. Senate confirms Loretta Onochi as Niger Delta Development Commission Chair and other board members. Again, House of Representatives summon Godwin Emefiele over cash withdrawal policy. And away from Nigeria, United Kingdom nurses stage new walkout over pay. Hello again, and now the news in detail. Now, the National Assembly will pass the 2023 appropriation bill on Thursday. President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, gave the hint during Tuesday's plenary when he read a letter transmitted to Parliament from President Muhammadu Buhari on Finance Bill 2022. He says the Finance Bill seeks to support the implementation of 2023 budget in the areas of tax equity, response to climate changes, challenges, especially gas flaring, boost economic growth, among others. The Senate President mandated the Committee on Finance to work on the bill and submit during plenary on Wednesday.
So much, colleagues, because we are closing for Christmas and New Year recess within this legislative week. This bill will now be referred to our Committee on Finance based on our Standing Order 1B, so that the Committee on Finance is able to bring back the report tomorrow for us to consider either tomorrow or Thursday. The budget itself, the budget report will be presented either tomorrow or latest by Thursday for the consideration of the Senate. So this bill, the Finance Bill 2022, is referred to our Committee on Finance to report back tomorrow.
The Nigerian Senate has confirmed Loretta Onochi, Special Assistant to the President on New Media, as Chairman of the Board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. The confirmation of Onochi and 12 others as members of the NDDC Board followed the presentation of a report by the Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on NDDC, Amos Bulus, on Tuesday in plenary. The Senate, however, stepped down the nomination of Dr. Pius Odubu, Edo State, and Engineer Antonio Okani from Imo State for not appearing before the Senate Committee on NDDC for screening.
The nomination of the following as Chairman and members of the Governing Board of Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Loretta Ifeanyi Onoche as Chairman, Governing Board of NDDC.
Before their confirmation, some senators objected to Onochi's confirmation, saying she is not from an oil-producing community. But Rivers East Senator George Sekibo said this issue is not clearly defined in the act established in the NDDC.
Submit that we should add a clause in our resolution calling on not only this president, but all future presidents who will have to implement the act to comply in their nominations with the requirements of indigenship. Because what the law says is that the nominees should come from oil-producing areas. Because the NDC Commission have been there for a very long time. We have tried to be sure that it was, the nominees were sent to us. And we couldn't do much. Now the president, in his own wisdom, when he's almost leaving office, he could have closed his eyes and then send this thing to us. So whatever will form a bottleneck to the inauguration of the commission, I think we should leave it.
In a remark while performing the confirmation, President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, charged the newly confirmed board to hit the ground running by embarking on projects that will ensure peace and stability in Niger Delta region. He also requested that copies of the audit report he made available to the National Assembly.
Confirmation. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Loretta Ifeanyi Onoche from Delta State, representing South as chairman in the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Still from the legislation, the House of Representatives has again rescheduled Thursday this week for the appearance of the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, before it. The decision by the House during plenary on Tuesday came after Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, read a letter from the CBN governor requesting that a rescheduled date be given to him to appear because he is out of the country for official engagement. Reacting further to the letter, the Speaker stated that if Emefiele is still not back from his travel, his deputy can represent him to explain the controversial cash withdrawal policy.
It's a proper full briefing, and I think it behoves on the CBN governor, in accordance with the law, to brief this house. Honorable Ododo has raised the valid point that what if his official assignment keeps him away even longer? At this point, we will be requesting to find out what that official assignment is that will keep the CBN governor away for almost 2 weeks.
However, members frowned at Emefiele's non-appearance, noting that it is disrespectful to the Nigerian public and not the House.
The crafters of the Nigerian Constitution, Mr. Speaker, did not make error to create House of Representatives to call for public office holders to account for their activities on behalf of Nigerians. I think at this point in time it is quite important for us to let such public office holders know that it is not Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila that is summoning the CBN governor or Honorable Yusuf Gagdi or Deputy Speaker or any member. It is the collective wills of the Nigerian people that are inviting the CBN governor to come and explain some of the policies that Nigerian people need explanation.
The law we had already passed a resolution asking him to suspend the implementation of that policy, and Senate has also equally concurred. So Senate has also concurred with the resolution we passed. So whether he comes or he doesn't come, we have passed a resolution asking him to suspend, and Senate has concurred. So what we should be looking at is to see whether he will disregard the both chambers resolution. That's all. I think we should work towards that and reinforce that.
So the effect
when he appears before us to brief the House.
Recall that last week the House have resolved in its plenary to invite Apex Bank boss were prepared to receive him this week to explain the cash withdrawal policy, but failed to appear again. The House of Representatives has resolved to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate a whistleblower's allegation of illegal sale of 48 million barrels of Nigeria's Bonny light crude in China in 2015 and the insurance status of the cargo. The committee is also to investigate all crude oil export and sales by Nigeria from 2014 to date with regards to quantity, insurance, revenue generated, remittance into the Federation account or other accounts, as well as utilization of the revenue for the period under review. In addition, the panel will investigate all proceeds recovered through the whistleblowers policy of the regime led by President Muhammadu Buhari and the level of compliance by the policy. These resolutions follow the unanimous adoption of a motion moved by a member of the House, Ibrahim Ishaka, titled Alleged Loss of Over $2.4 billion in revenue from illegal sale of 48 million barrels of crude oil export in 2015, including crude oil export in 2014 till date. The committee is to report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. The Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Uhu, has declined an application by the Department of State Services to arrest and detain Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, Justice Sohu, while declining the motion ex parte filed by an applicant in the absence of the respondent, said the secret police did not provide any concrete evidence to substantiate its claims that Emefiele was involved in terrorism, financing, and economic crimes. At the proceedings, the judge noted that the name of the respondent was given simply as Godwin Emefiele, without a material disclosure that he is the same person as the CBN governor. Justice Sohu therefore refused to entertain the suit until credible evidence is brought before the court as a reason why the court should grant the request. The move by the DSS comes after the recent controversial decision of the CBN to redesign the 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira notes as part of measures to reduce the quantity of cash outside of its control and discourage certain criminal activities such as kidnapping for ransom. Now we'll go on a break, and when we return, Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAM fixes February 14th for commencement of 2023 UTME registration. We have details of this and more after this break.
In this 21st century, where all the information we need is now in the palm of our hands. News from around the world, entertainment, celebrity gossip, sports, and much more. The only thing that you need is the right source. Viewer TV is now on the go. Simply check us out on our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter for all the information you need.
And welcome back. It's good to know that you're still with us. Well, if you are just joining us, here is a recap of our top stories. Senate confirms Loretta Onoche as Niger Delta Development Commission Chair and others board members. Again, House of Representatives summoned Godwin Emefiele over cash withdrawal policy. And away from Nigeria, United Kingdom nurses stage new walkout over pay. Moving forward in an effort towards peace building and reintegration, resettlement of displaced communities, Senator representing Plateau North in the National Assembly, Senator Stephanus Dongyang, has commissioned 38 houses he built in conjunction with the Operation Safe Haven Young Community Stakeholders BYM to resettle young IDPs in ROP District, Barkin Ladi local government area of Plateau State. Now, the Deputy Chairman, Senate Committee on Defense provided roofing materials, doors, windows, cement, and plastering of all the houses, community and clinic, and 150 bags of grains to the returned displaced persons. Nasru Saidu tells us more on that story.
About 689 people in Jong-Rob district of Barkil-Ladi were displaced in 2015 and 122 households affected. 27-year-old Mary Dabo was born in Jong community.
Mun yi girma da Fulani muna cin abinci a kwarya daya, amma da shetan ya yi aikinsa ya zo ya rude su har muka zama wayanda suka cire mu daga kasan.
Hear the sound of jubilation from the people of Jong as the community is now being resettled through the efforts of Plateau North Senator Ivy Gang, Operation Safe Haven, BYM and meaningful individuals.
That I stand here today to give God thanks because He has made peace possible in this local government.
Operation Safe Haven provided a motorized borehole, solar light and station security personnel to protect the people of the community.
With this great feat achieved today, we shall give no room for Jong community to be displaced again. We shall do everything possible to ensure Jong community is safe for everyone to stay and do businesses, which will in turn improve the standard of living.
The Commander of Operation Safe Haven, Major General I.S. Ali, was moved with compassion and made sincere efforts to return various displaced persons to their ancestral lands.
Plateau North Senator Ivy Gang has provided roofing materials, doors, windows, cement and plastering of the 38 houses, 150 bags of grains, and has handed over a clinic at neighboring community to Jong to ensure issues of health of the people is taken care of. Other projects commissioned by Ivy Gang include the transformer upgrade to provide power supply at Gasa, Rob District, and a befitting modern town hall at Haipan.
I am really very proud of the Senator. All that he's doing, I'm very proud of that.
It gladdens my heart because this is the first time we're having a hole in this community.
The
opportunity that God gave me to represent the people of Plateau North has birthed one of the most passionate desire of my heart, and that's the return of peace to this constituency and indeed to Plateau State, even as we yearn for peace in the entirety of Nigeria.
An award of honor was presented to Senator Ivy Gang by the people of Jong as the man who built Jong community. Nasru Saidu, Viewer TV News, Jong.
German Foreign Affairs Minister has said it will support Borno State in peace stabilization process, security, education, and also help to curtail humanitarian crisis and insurgency. She disclosed this during an official visit in Ngaramnam community in Mafa local government area of Borno State. The German Foreign Affairs Minister, Annalena Baerbock, said building communities in the state will help in fighting terrorism, giving children future through education and good healthcare facilities. Meanwhile, Governor Umar Zulum said without the intervention of Germany and other donors, many youth will have joined Boko Haram group. He stressed that the Regional Stabilization Facility Fund of 50 million euros, which Germany is a major financier, had hugely supported the state.
Indeed, the government of Germany has contributed a lot to our regional stabilization facility. Through the regional stabilization facility, we were able to build thousands of homes, classrooms, payment of teachers, motivation of teachers, provision of means of livelihood to the displaced communities in Borno State. And this has gone a long way in addressing the root causes of the insurgency, which are not limited to endemic poverty, oppressive illiteracy, social inequality,
we have set up as the German Foreign Ministry a new stabilization approach where we combine civil and military security, because we know that it goes hand in hand. You cannot stabilize a region without security, but the other way is also true, and we have learned this also from Afghanistan, that only with regard to security and military measures you cannot build the future. You have to also build the state, you have to build the trust in communities, and you have to invest in your youth, in education and in state institutions.
And our academics, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAM has at the end of its management meeting held on Tuesday, 20th December 2022, rolled out some major dates for its activities in 2023. Consequently, the board has approved the commencement of registration for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination from Saturday, 14th January to Tuesday, 14th February 2023. This, however, does not include registration for direct entry. Application documents as the DE registration will commence from Monday, 20th February to Thursday, 20th April 2022. The board has also fixed Thursday, 16th March 2023 for the conduct of its optional mock UTME. Also, the board, after considering its other communities, fixed Saturday, 29th April 2023 for the conduct of 2023 UTME, which is expected to end on Monday, 12th May 2023. Now, the board advises all candidates who desire to register for the 2023 UTME to immediately embark on the creation of their respective profiles, as creation of profile code, ahead of the formal commencement of the registration exercise, to avoid being caught up in any ensuing bottleneck. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has signed an agreement with members of the Transport Union comprising the National Road Transport Union of Nigeria, NURTW, the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, NATO, and the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria for effective logistics deployment in the 2023 general elections. Speaking in Abuja on Tuesday, the chairman of the commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, noted that INEC will need at least 100,000 vehicles, over 4,000 boats and gunboats for conveyance of personnel and materials in the forthcoming general elections. The signing of the agreement is coming barely 1 month after the Commission met with security chiefs and heads of transport unions in Lagos. INEC chairman, heads of civil society organizations, and leaders of various transport unions attended the meeting in Abuja. Yakubu charged the transporters to be neutral. The Minister of State for Health, Ekumakama Nkama, has lamented the acute shortage of doctors, nurses, and other health professionals in government hospitals across all levels, including tertiary health institutions, due to increasing immigration syndrome. The minister said this while speaking at the inauguration of Bedded Intensive Care Unit, New Natal Intensive Care Unit, Pediatric Intensive Care Unit, and Labor Ward at Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. Nkama said LUT and other tertiary health institutions are facing an acute shortage of health professionals due to effects of brain drain and work overload. Represented by the Director, National Cancer Control Program of the Ministry, Dr. David Atul, Nkama added that the Federal Ministry of Health, with other government agents, including the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, is working very hard to ensure that existing staff is replaced as soon and seamlessly as possible. The minister continued that the inauguration of 3 projects had shown the hard work of the board of management and staff of LUT over the years and has resulted in the current success. And on business, retail transaction in our Nigeria exchange increased by 10.69% to 26.62 billion naira in the month of November. And data from the country's local bourse revealed the data from the Nigerian exchange indicated that retail transactions added 26.62 billion naira in the month from 24.05 billion naira in October 2022. As of 30th November 2022, total transactions in the INGX decreased by 5.19% from 110.09 billion naira in October 2022 to 104.38 billion naira in November 2022. Institutional investors with 63.33 billion naira outperformed retail investors, as market observers believe that the appreciation was a positive indicator for Nigerian stocks, considering the current economic environment. The Nigerian Exchange Limited has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in the bid to curb infractions in the stock market. The exchange explained that the MOU will aid NGX to implement its zero-tolerance policy on infractions. The Chief Executive Officer of NGX, Temi Popola, made this revelation while delivering an opening remark at the induction ceremony for the 91 newly authorized dealing clerks in Lagos recently, while encouraging the newly inducted brokers to hold a high standard of ethics in the capital markets. Popola charged them to embrace a learning culture to keep up with the development and innovation in the finance space. Meanwhile, a senior analyst at the Nigerian capital market, Rashid Yusuf, congratulated the ADCs, noting that their induction was coming at a time of significant volatility and uncertainty in global markets and the world's economy. The Nigerian government realized a total of 2.8 trillion naira from company income tax (CIT) from the first to third quarter of the year. The value is 55% higher than 1.34 trillion naira the government pulled in at the same period last year, even with the current quarter yet to be computed. Earnings from CIT in 2022 have surpassed the entire amount recorded last year by as much as 23%. Last year, the total value of CIT was 1.69 trillion. The figure is 27% higher than the 1.33 trillion naira realized from local CIT so far this year. At the end of the year, the annualized value of local CIT will have equal to surpass the entire CIT realized in 2021. According to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the government generated 810.19 billion naira last quarter, indicating a growth rate of 13.41% on a quarter-on-quarter basis from 714.4 billion naira recorded in second quarter. The federal government has said it will require 4 trillion naira to drive the gas expansion plan in 10 years. A document on Nigerian Cretaceous basins, the potentials of gas by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, shows that the sum will be needed for incremental investments from 2021 to 2060 to reach net zero by 2060. A breakdown of the 4 trillion naira revealed that the plan will require about 2.7 trillion naira, which is $6 billion, as an additional cost that will be incurred for the application of what it termed carbon capture and storage and refining, and then about 1.9 trillion naira, which is $4 billion for gas expansion. Now, the document further stated that to achieve the plan, there will be minimal capital expenditure beyond the usual spending due to the oil sector decline despite the gas increase. The gas expansion plan is part of the federal government's energy transition plan towards delivering its 2060 United Nations mandate towards reaching net zero. In a bid to beat the December deadline, the shareholders of MTN Nigeria PLC have approved the cancellation of 7.5 billion unused shares. The company has disclosed in a public disclosure on the Nigerian Exchange Limited on Monday. The telecom company shareholders also approved the cancellation of over 402 million preference shares of $0.005 each. The company said the shareholders approved the cancellation during the extraordinary general meeting held in Lagos. Recall President Muhammadu Buhari in August 2022 signed the Amended Companies and Allied Matters Act, mandating all listed companies in Nigeria to have only issued shares against the current system and operating issues and authorized shares capital. And away from Nigeria, Somalia's President Hassan Mahmoud has revealed that the soldiers who have been training in Eritrea for months will begin returning to the country in the coming days. For months, rumors have been circulating in Somalia that these soldiers were sent to the war-torn Ethiopian region of Tigray. Mahmoud, who promised to bring the soldiers home during his spring elections campaign, visited them at training camps in Eritrea in July. Meanwhile, the families of the soldiers without news of their loved ones protested several times this year during the presidency of Muhammad's predecessor, Muhammad, known as Farmajo, demanding information about their fate. Now, Ethiopia's federal government and Tigrayan rebels signed a peace agreement on November 2nd in South Africa to end a deadly two-year conflict that has created several humanitarian crises in northern Ethiopia. Tanzania has signed a $2.2 billion contract with a Chinese company to build a final section of a railway line aimed at linking the country's main port with its neighbors. The 2,561-kilometer line will link the Indian Ocean port of Dar es Salaam to Mwanza on Lake Victoria, with eventual spurs to Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda. President Samia Hassan, who witnessed the signing, said the construction of the final section of the standard gauge railway from Tabora to Kigoma in western Tanzania will be completed in 2026, 9 years after it began. She said the new railway will reduce cargo transportation costs between the Dar es Salaam port and DRC from the minimum of $6,000 per ton to about $4,000 once it becomes fully operational. Recall Tanzania's railway system has two existing networks, one linking the eastern African nation of Zambia and the other connecting it to Kenya and Uganda. UK nurses have staged a second unprecedented strike amid an increase in a criminals' fight with the government for better wages and warnings that patients' safety could be jeopardized. Up to 100,000 members of the Royal College of Nursing in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland are holding the latest known one-day stoppage after walking out last Thursday for the first time in the union's 106-year-old history. They are demanding an inflation boost pay increase to make up for years of real-term salary cuts, but the government insists recession hit Britain cannot afford anything above a roughly 4 to 5% rise. The striking nurses are just one of the numerous UK public and private sector workers taking industrial actions over pay and working conditions as they grapple with a cost of living crisis worsening by decades-high inflation. The UK Consumer Prices Index is currently running at nearly 11%. Ambulance workers, including paramedics and call handlers, are set to on strike on Wednesday. A second such walkout is scheduled for December 28, while others, including Postal Railway and Border Force staff, are staging stoppage over the Christmas period. Local schools have been ordered to shut down out of fear of more kidnappings as a hostage situation at the police station taken over jailed Pakistan Taliban fighters dragged into its third day. More than 30 members of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP) group separated from the Afghan Taliban, but with a similar hardline Islamic ideology, overpowered their jailers on Sunday and snatched weapons. The men held on suspicion of terrorism have demanded safe passage to Afghanistan in return for releasing at least 8 police officers and military intelligence officials, said Muhammad Al-Sharif, a spokesman for the provincial Kabir Pakhtunkhwa government. The police station is within a cantonment area in Banu in Pakistan, formerly self-governed tribal areas and near the border with Afghanistan. Offices and roads have closed and checkpoints have been set up around the area. In a natural disaster, a 6.4 magnitude earthquake has struck off the coastal of Northern California early Tuesday, but there was no tsunami threat. Seismologists said, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, the relatively shallow quake hit 25 miles southwest of the port city of Eureka in Humboldt County in a preliminary assessment. The USGS said there was a low likelihood of casualties, but some damage was possible. Meanwhile, the National Tsunami Warning Center said a tsunami was not expected. California is regularly shaken by tremors, and seismologists say the earthquake capable of causing widespread destruction is almost certain to hit the state in the next 30 days. And that's all on News Live for now. Before we go, a quick look at our top stories. The First Senate confirms Loretta Onochie as Niger Delta Development Commission Chair, other board members. And also again, the House of Representatives summoned Godwin Emefiele over cash withdrawal policy. We've also heard United Kingdom nurses stage new walkout over pay. Well, that's all we have for now on News Live. My name is Philip Sliven. Please do have a great evening.